Good afternoon. Welcome to the Paradigm Shift, episode 183. You're looking at a married man. Just got back from a beautiful run. I could not be more excited for today's episode because we have not one but two dynamic, unbelievable, beautiful souls hopping on. Let's get it. You dig. Waiting for Uncle Dave to hop on, who is the best breakdancer in the country, and who also, as he saw this morning on private text, has the voice of an angel. But that's neither here nor there. Bringing Big Dave on. Let's get this party started. Colleen in the house, great to see you. Yasmine, love you so much. We're going to bring you on in less than five. Less than five. My hairpiece looks a little weathered today. There he is. Oh, thank God.
Thank God.
How you doing?
Fantastic, my friend. And how are you?
Doing great. I look a little weathered, I can see.
You what?
I look a little weathered right now. I can see that.
Oh,
Back from a little,
you look a little, you got the extra 2 inches on top. It's nice.
Gives me a little bit of height, you know?
I do know, man. Just buy some lifts.
You like the video I sent you? Very impressive.
You're very impressive. I love it.
I love you. Let's dive right in. We have some unbelievable guests.
Taking care of my singing voice.
Huh?
I'm taking care of my singing voice.
Well, it looks great. It sounds even better.
What's going on, man? What do you got for me?
Oh, we got the comments going already in the chat, huh? Starting early today.
Yeah. It's okay.
Yeah, I know. Before we bring on our guest, I have a question for you, which I'm actually very excited to ask you, Dave. How do you personally continue to think bigger?
Yeah, I think this is a great question. For me, it's understanding the infinite nature and the limitations of the infinite nature. So I know that I can never overachieve my own self-image. And so to do, say, think, feel, and believe bigger is part and parcel and aligned with the infinite universe that I exist in. And so no matter how big I think, there's always bigger. You can think as big as you want, feel as big as you want, believe as big as you want, and then say +1, and all of a sudden you realize the infinite nature of your thoughts, words, beliefs, feelings, etc. So for me, it's progress. Makes me think, feel, and do and say bigger. And so progress is created by behaviors, and I focus continually on the behaviors in a divine direction, utilizing my faith and wisdom to create divine detours and utilize the patience in order to facilitate outcomes within the context of divine time. So the expansive nature of my beliefs all are regulated by the behaviors, whether or not they're good behaviors, which are aligned with the divine direction, or bad behaviors, which are interfering with my divine direction, and knowing that progress is completely aligned with my behavior. Good behavior creates good progress. Bad behaviors interferes with progress. And so understanding the infinite to think bigger, say bigger, do bigger, feel bigger, and believe bigger, I have to look within the behaviors I have today, in the circumstances of today, the lessons of the past aligned with the divine direction, faith and wisdom of divine detours, and patience of divine time.
Beautifully said, as usual. Divine detour. That has a really nice ring to it. Before I bring on Dr. Yasmine, I wanted to ask you, do you often, I imagine at some point you do, you're human, catch yourself thinking a little bit too small and then remove the limitation and maybe increase the ceiling on what's possible in a given scenario?
All the time. I would every single time that I have time to pay attention and give intention to a significant thought or progress that I'm looking for or better, I know that I'm limiting myself. So I ask myself, is it worth my time to think, say, do, believe, or feel bigger in the respect of this activity? Sometimes it's just not, right? It's just, there's too many things to think, say, do, feel, and believe about. Why would I waste my time to think bigger, say, do, and believe bigger in all circumstances? But yes, the answer is everyone, if you exist in an infinite system, you're thinking too small.
Speaking of beautiful souls, Dr. Yasmin, one of my favorite people on the planet. Love you. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be with you, especially after your wedding. What a wonderful. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Are you back in New York?
I am. This is my home back in New York in my own environment.
I love it, and I miss you. We'll get together soon.
Yes,
Uh,
definitely.
I want to just dive right in because I love your content. I think it's so helpful and valuable. You have to talk about becoming more vulnerable. How does one become more vulnerable, and where, if you should, do you draw the line?
So I don't think you should ever draw the line. I think drawing the line, if you think of drawing the line, you think that being vulnerable is weak, that people will step over you or something bad will happen. So being vulnerable is the key to honesty. And so you want actually to be vulnerable and be honest with yourself 100%, because the more you can embrace everything that you are, and the more you can see even the positive and the negative about you, the more you will succeed. So David was talking about accessing, increasing your potential, going deeper. You can only go as deep as where your mind is at. So the first step is to really analyze your thoughts and your emotion, because they carry your present, your desired future, the path that you're taking, and the obstacle along the way. And so once you figure that out, you know where you're going, you know your obstacle, and now we have to build faith. We have to build other ways to get you to that higher level. And one step at a time, you'll get there.
Same frequency, Dave?
Oh, of course. And, the vulnerability includes two aspects of it. One is being honest with ourselves, which is a very difficult practice because the ego protects the self. And to be honest with ourselves, we can actually black out some of those truths. But there's also just an elevated frequency that is involved in understanding the truth. And so within the context of being honest with ourselves, some things are hidden from us, and there's different layers of awareness about our own potential. And I know through my own journey and with writing books and different therapy that I have blocked out certain things. And the aspect of childhood trauma that was created by being sexually abused at 9 was something I never even thought of. It wasn't a matter of I was hiding it into my 20s. It was a matter of my own ego protecting myself. And I remember when I started building a brand, Craig, and working with Gary Vaynerchuk, and I was so excited because I told people I went bankrupt. And this was an exciting moment of vulnerability that, I actually was comfortable. And trust me, this wasn't like being abused at 9. I knew I went bankrupt. So there's no protection of my ego. But Gary's response was really enlightening 7.5 years ago. And he said, just wait to see what you actually reveal to others publicly. And vulnerability is your essence. And if you want a strong signal from your essence, a wide spectrum, and a clearer message, the closer you can come to your truth about your own skills, knowledge, and desires, the greater people will resonate with you, the more people that will resonate, and even more people will understand you because it'll be clearer to you, which makes it clearer to others. So, Dr. Yaz, amazing. So thank you for joining us.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to connect with you.
Yeah, this is a beautiful conversation, and I want to go even deeper. Yes, how do you personally empower yourself, specifically when you're going through a season or maybe life can feel a little bit heavy?
Oh, that's such a good question. So the first question I always tell myself when things are heavy is, where's my growth opportunity? Like, first simple question, because it feels heavy because there's something within me that's resisting. So heavy because I think it's going too fast, heavy because I think I'm not gonna make it, heavy is always because of a limitation, because whatever comes your way is actually never heavy, but it's heavy for your mindset. So it's coming so that you upgrade your mindset. So I'm always thinking, okay, where is my growth opportunity? And what is it that makes it heavy? And then I realized, okay, it makes it heavy because I have a desire for slower, or I have the desire for ease, or I have a desire, okay, so maybe how can I upgrade that? What can I do so that I can evolve to the next level? So that's always looking at, this is coming my way to evolve me, to get me on a higher journey, on a better place. And heavy is just my interpretation.
She has nuggets today, Dave.
Yeah, well, she's an enlightened soul and a kind soul, and that heaviness for me is an interference between me and my source. And so if I understand the feeling of feeling heavy, I feel interfered with from the omniscient and all powerful source that loves me, protects me, promotes me, which is why I define that heaviness as a divine detour of where I'm supposed to be. Sometimes pain, setbacks, failures, and mistakes and heaviness can indicate I have a better place to be, a better position to be in, that I am being protected and promoted. And what I have found to shorten the distance of that resistance is simply wisdom that can be ascertained from others in books and podcasts and meditation and a variety of different information as we are informed and we want to put that into action, but also faith. So if we can focus in on wisdom and faith to shorten that distance of resistance, that heaviness will dissipate and hopefully dissolve and allow us to create more momentum of aggregation, acceleration, compounding exponentially the protection, promotion, and love, the divine direction. And we shorten the distance of the divine detours and allow for divine time to elevate our souls together in a unified system, an abundant system of thought in which we exist. So I can't, I'm just reiterating what Dr. Yaz says in different words that hopefully resonate with someone out there.
And
It's so
I would
beautiful.
add one thing. Can I add one thing,
Sure.
Craig?
Yeah.
I love what you said, but what you said pushes people to look outside of themselves.
How
So, and
is
that's
that?
a bit
How is that?
because you're
If you're
in,
looking for what's interfering, if you're looking for what's interfering with your source, which is inside of you, then how's that looking outside?
I think you encourage people to look for podcasts, look for wisdom. So, which is good. But when you ask people to listen to podcasts, to listen to information, a wiser soul, or like people listening to us, it's great. But it really has to be balanced with the idea that the answer is within you, totally
Yeah, well,
within you.
I did include meditation was one of the items listed, right? So, but I think it's a unified, abundant system of thought. So therefore, anyone's thoughts that we have are going to either resonate or not with us. But I agree. Look, I think information comes through us, whether it's directly from source or from others allowing source to come through them. But yeah, I do not encourage people. You cannot find outside of you what you can't see inside of you. So I agree. So if I misspoke or misinterpreted that, I'm in 100% agreement with that.
That's great. Sounds great. I just wanted to focus on that because that's a bit what I created out there is the idea that people have to learn to really decode their thoughts and their emotions, um, because there's such a tendency to act outside of you, to seek, to that's a bit how most of the world is going. And we want people to go in that, as you said, like the divine speaks through you. And every thought you have is actually a message from the divine. Every emotion you have is a message. And if you can learn to decode them, then you see what is the divine communicating through you and pushing you in the right direction. So your desires are pushing you towards something that is good for you. In that there are obstacles, there's a lot of things. So, but that's what I wanted to focus.
Yeah, beautifully said. And I'm going to bring on our second guest, Sabrina. Yasmin, if you could hang out for 10 minutes, I'd love you to. If you can't, we understand. And I love what you said there about where is my growth opportunity, because based on what you just said, with every message being from the divine, you know, there's a big difference between stress and pressure. And pressure is often your opportunity to convert that to your next level of growth or expansion. Yeah. Couldn't love this conversation more.
And I love you both more.
We're going to bring on Sabrina. There she is. Hey, you.
Guys, how are you?
Good
Craig,
morning.
don't you have any ugly friends?
I do not. I do not. Beautiful
Good to
souls
meet you
inside
Oh,
out.
guys.
besides me, I'm just saying.
Dave, you're a beautiful soul. And if anyone saw you on the dance floor, they'd know you're not ugly. Sabrina, where are you dialing in from? Where are you?
So I'm in San Diego. I'm a former New Yorker, but I came West Coast.
I could tell by the swagger.
Yeah, I was like, and just wait, when I start cursing and saying fuck every other word, you'll know.
So you're out there by Dave. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like here I look like I'm a freak in nature. They're like, wow, you talk fast. I'm like, you haven't been to New York. Okay, cool.
I love it. I love it. I'm so pumped for this conversation. This is awesome for us. I want to dive right in. For our community, by the way, if you weren't familiar with Yasmine, obviously do a deep dive, play catch up, but also Sabrina, one of the things that you talk about often is that we tend to obsess over people that don't make us feel safe. I find that so interesting. Why do we do that?
So typically speaking, when we're thinking about like our nervous system, the brain, everything that's going on, it's like to somebody who's more secure, who in their childhood may have been, they were taught at a young age to give and receive love. They understand independence and interdependence, right? So for them, someone not feeling safe is not something that you're going to run after. You're not excited about that. That's a difference of what you're used to. Versus if you have more of an insecure attachment. Hi to the people that have a lot of anxiety. We typically obsess over people that don't make us feel safe because it's usually a mimic of a caregiver or something from an earlier childhood. Ever notice how people have a pattern, right? They'll obsess over somebody because it's like, I want to be chosen. I want them to choose me. I want them to like me. Why haven't they done all of that? When it's actually about the person, what it ends up being is that they don't feel safe with this person. They don't feel like this person actually validates them, chooses them, is legitimately being there in a secure and healthy relationship. Because then you'll always hear, well, healthy equals boring. I want the high highs and low lows. And that really is just dysregulation. Your body is used to not feeling safe in that environment. And like Freud said, repetition compulsion. We will continue to date the parts that are unhealed. We will continue to date people that are mimics of earlier developmental traumas because we're hoping that if we can heal it now, then all of that will go away. And so we obsess over people that don't make us feel safe because if they choose us, well, then we have value. And if they don't, shit, my core belief is right. There's something wrong with me.
First of all, I want what you're on right now. Dave, what are you thinking?
Oh
This is no
shit!
caffeine, nothing. This is just straight up
I
like
believe it.
anxiety. So
And you and your power. Yeah. Dave, what were we going to say?
I don't know. Is there a little delay for you,
yeah.
Craig?
Yeah, a little bit, but yeah.
Okay,
But
I was just wondering.
well,
I thought maybe
there's
the
too much
Quaaludes.
energy on the collective
I thought maybe
consciousness.
my morning Quaaludes were after the discussion. I was like, whoa, shit, I'm tripping here. It's good to know there's more New Yorkers in San Diego as well. I gotta hook up. But look, I think it's what Dr. Yaz was saying. You can't find outside of you what you can see or find inside of you. And I love the fact that you speak in the terms of healing, because a lot of people don't understand the contrast between ease and dis-ease. And it's when I say dis-ease, a lot of people don't think beyond physical dis-ease, and they don't realize there's emotional and spiritual dis-ease, and the regulation of being able to heal that is truly what I try to focus in on, is healing and understanding beyond patterns. I was curious and I had a question. You know, I'm a big clues, patterns, and choices person, and interpreting those clues are really interesting. And even to the respect, I've been married for 27 years, and it continually gets better because I'm healing my own relationship with myself, and it has amplified into my most intimate relationship with my wife, who, by the way, I've known since the fourth grade in San Diego at Weinberger Elementary School and Pershing Junior High School and Patrick Henry, and she hated me. So I've done a lot of healing with myself. But how do we, when we're in a more intimate long-term relationship, there's obviously elements of what you say in those relationships still, that there's validation that I look for after all these years. And if I don't receive that, I don't feel good about myself. What type of clues in a longer term relationship should we look for?
So what we're
Good
really
question.
looking, because it's a great question. I think a lot of us see it as the early stages of dating, and we don't realize that like this also can manifest. Like I've been with my partner for 2 years, and I get triggered all the time. Like I'm a human, and what we really want to understand is like kind of. I'll give you what I personally think is something to be looking at. Is the first step is we want to understand what are the sensations in my body? What's happening? Is my heart palpitating like it's out of control? Am I sweating? What are the physical sensations that I'm experiencing right now? Then we want to be able to understand, okay, so I feel really heavy in my chest right now. Okay, have I ever felt this before? Yeah, this reminds me of when I was fucking 3 and like this happened. Okay, then what's the narrative that I've associated with that moment? Well, my wife didn't say this. I must not be good enough. Or I must have messed up. I did something stupid. Okay, well, do I have facts to back that up? No, she was just dismissive of me. Okay, well, then maybe what could have happened is she had a really hard day and I might be internalizing this and making it personal about me. And so I'll gain clarity from her and ask her, hey, babe, was there something that I said that upset you? And if not, then I don't want to take this personal. I want to be here to support you if you're going through something. So it's really important to understand what's coming up for us, because I think we're so used to reacting, we don't give space to respond. And just because you're in a relationship or single doesn't mean that those triggers are not still going to be present, because you're a human. And as a human, there's a little version of you inside that may not have had that healing that it still needs. And so this is its way of saying like, hey, here are some unhealed parts of me, or here are some things that are still holding true for me. And because we perceive it, like we have to think too, when we go back into our amygdala and we're on that limbic part of our brain, that's going to happen from everything that happened when you were 6 and below. So when we react and we say, wow, the pinch didn't match the ouch, I felt so dismissed by my partner and all they did was shut the door, right? Then we have to start to say, okay, well, I need to look and see, is this actually a response to what's going on, or is this a reaction to something much deeper?
Ooh, this is good. And Sabrina, that reminds me, I saw you was talking about like how to regulate your nervous system when maybe there's a situation there, and you said something along the lines of, well, let's take a second. How would the secure version of me respond in this situation? And then you're not passing judgments on what they might be thinking against you, right?
Self-compassion is one of the biggest aspects that we need to embody when it comes to healing, because shaming and blaming is probably what most of us are used to, right? Caregivers that might have put us down, or earlier developmental years that felt like we were being judged or ridiculed or rejected. And so if we're going to continue to talk to ourselves like that, then we're going to continue to perpetuate the behavior that we were taught when we were kids. And so now as an adult, if I do something, instead of being like, oh, you're so stupid, how could you do this? Instead, it might be, what would the version of me that would like to handle this better act like? Wow, she would be a lot calmer. Okay, so then what can I learn from that? And how can I embody those characteristics without shaming myself for having those experiences? Because given everything that I personally went through as a child, it would make total sense that I would have anxiety as an adult. And we don't need anybody to continue to gaslight or manipulate or make us think like we're crazy for feeling these things that we're feeling.
I would love to add one thing to this discussion, because you guys are giving so many good points. The way I see it, the approach right now you're proposing is a bit of this constructive approach. You take where you are and you look. And then you add compassion and you give softness. But I think Dave's question for me showed that you're still building self-esteem out of performance. That means if you act well, do well, and your wife gives you love, you feel good. So therefore, that self-esteem out of performance will a little bit always be there. So you want to do another kind of work that address the root, which is that you want self-esteem out of who you are. So you want to do exactly what Sabrina said here, exactly, but you also want to add another thing, which is, who are you? Do you love yourself for you? What are your talents? Like, you should, like, your self-esteem should never change based on performance. You're the same person. So it should always be good, and it should be like divine. It should be what the universe have. You're a beautiful human being. So
Which
if
on
it's
paper
not
sounds
there,
great.
That's what I I was thinking that's
Like,
like super idealistic,
it's
right?
like listen, on paper that sounds lovely, of like the divine and the universe and everybody's trying to run this through me. It's like, but when you're in the moment and you're fucking triggered and this person is making you feel like shit and you feel less than, the last thing you're thinking is like, well, I should be feeling great right now. And it's like, that's shame and blame, that's
No,
judgment. And instead we
no,
want to
yeah.
get curious and say, okay, this person, I want their validation. Where does that stem from? But you can't do any of that unless you understand what's happening for you, because then it becomes external still. And we're still waiting for that other person to validate us instead of saying, well, the divine is running through me and this is a message. It's like, it's also an insecurity that's trying to come out, because if you feel like you want that validation from your partner, that still comes back to what's happening for me, how old do I feel, and when did I learn that I need an external validation in order to feel good about myself. So I think we need to take the ethereal and actually make it a little bit more practical, because then it makes, I think, people feel, as I was listening to you, it's not that you're wrong, but it feels very, I felt like it was a little bit of not just judgment, but a little just like, oh, let's just do this and just feel better. And it's like, but that's not actually helping people to legitimately get to the root of the issue if they just feel like the divine is trying to run through them and give them a message. I don't know that that's actually helping get down to the true root of what's causing that, which could be, as a child, my father didn't validate me and I've constantly been chasing that all my life. And now I'm married to somebody and that still is coming out for me. We have to look at, well, where did I learn that behavior from before we can do anything else about actually trying to stop seeking external validation.
Dave, you want to answer?
I,
And
I
yeah,
agree.
I, I do. And I think you both agree with one another. And I agree with both of you in the context. And this is why time for me, Craig, as you know, is my dependent variable, because there's man-made constructive time, which Sabrina is talking about, right? The reaction to fear. And I am constantly trying to see how quickly, number one, the reaction to fear is instant and obvious. And we have to understand how long does it take us to get back to center and heal and get to ease. But when Dr. Yaz is speaking in the divine, the problem that human beings have, and where that theory is so idealistic, is if you're going to talk about the divine, then let's talk about it in the context of divine time, in infinite time, multiple lifetimes. That doesn't help us uh, each day in the circumstances of the day. It does, in my personal opinion, I agree with both of you. I think the understanding of time is so essential. It's like, look, we need a reconciliation between, hey, this is how the divine works and how my divine soul, and this is a divine detour. But I love the New York approach of, fuck, I'm pissed, and I got to figure out how I can get unpissed. And because I want to live my life with my wife, really happy the majority of the time. I know that I'm going to be married for a much, much longer than the 27 years that I'm married right now. And I promise you, I'm going to get pissed. And more importantly, I promise you, she is going to get pissed. And I did not want to touch the performance side. You can understand in a Freudian way the insecurities that I must have. You got that, Craig?
Yeah.
I'm Jewish from the eyebrows up. You get that?
No, but I think
That's right.
what I was saying is I don't think you, yeah, I think you guys misinterpret me. I totally agree with your approach, but I believe that if you just do this, you'll be triggered every time. You'll be triggered every time. It's a great approach when you are triggered, but you'll be triggered again and again. That you also want to do another step when you are not triggered, when you are calm, you want to see, okay, my self-esteem is actually based on other people's opinion. So how can I reclaim that for myself? And how can I do the ground up, which is, okay, what will give me self-esteem? Where should I be for me to have self-esteem? And let's do the step. It's actually a very concrete approach, but it needs both. It's not at all invalidated. I thought what you guys said was really good. I just was adding another layer to it because I think when you're not triggered, this is where you want to do another type of work. And I certainly
I
don't
agree.
mean,
I think we both agree.
Right, but I think it's also just holding space for when we use words like the divine for people like me who don't believe in things like that, that like there's divine this and divine that. I don't see it that way. So for me, as somebody who is saying, well, sure, when I'm going my day to day, that requires a lot of self-awareness. That would require that at all times we're seeing, hey, I'm externally seeking validation. This is what I'm looking for. Most people don't even know that they're doing that. So I think it just, when I was hearing you say it, it's like, oh, just do this. It's like, well, yeah, that sounds lovely on paper, but there's not actual tangible steps and tools here of saying, okay, well, when you're in your day to day, start to ask yourself, how often do I seek external validation? How does that feel in my body? How do I feel when do I validate myself? Do I allow myself to just sit and be? And I think personally, it's not that you're right or wrong. I think it's just that when we hear things like, for me, when I hear the divine, I instantly get turned off because I'm like, I don't want to hear about these ethereal concepts. I want to know what's actually happening here because I'm here right now. I'm not anywhere else. And I want to know what's actually going on and not be so ethereal about, oh, and then on your day to day, just do this. It's like all of it. Every day is doing the work. But if we're being asked in this moment, what do I do when my wife is doing this? It's like, well, these are the steps we need to take in that moment. And then when we're on our own and you're in therapy and you're exploring that, then we can say, I have this pattern. I'm consistently seeking the external validation. My friendships look like this. My relationships, my work looks like this. Every area of my life mimics this. Then we can start to understand that. But I think to just say like on a day-to-day, just start to ask yourself, how can I show up more secure? It's like, or how just not asking for that validation. It just requires to me a little bit more. And as somebody who has personally gone through this, that other alternative of the divine and knowing the timings, it did not work for me. I stayed stuck for 3 years just expecting that this stuff was going to happen. So that's just my last thoughts on this, because I know that we're running out of time. So
I'm going to
But
agree with
I love
that.
that.
The best part is we've showcased different approaches here
totally,
today, and that's a beautiful thing. And to
totally.
land the plane, I know that our community, we should probably do this again for a sequel. This is awesome, an awesome feisty conversation. Start with Yasmine and then Sabrina. What are you most excited about? How can our communities support or maybe get involved with whatever you're working on?
I appreciate that. Right now, just my podcast. It's called The Sabrina Zohar Show. If anybody needs a course, there's some stuff. If you're really looking for dating and relationship and you're really feeling like you don't know where to go, then this is the community for you, because we really start to work on how to come home to yourself so that you can be the best version of you to you and your partner, which is the most important aspect.
Love it. Yas, how about you?
Well, I just gave a TEDx on decoding your thoughts and emotions. So if people are interested in learning how to decode their thoughts and emotion to really elevate themselves, well, then just reach out.
And Uncle Dave, where are you traveling next?
I travel too much, but I want to thank both of these beautiful souls because I believe they agree with one another's time. In my perspective, uh, time's interesting when it comes to the divine and the pragmatic world. So I'm traveling all over the place. I'd love to see both of you. I'm in San Diego. I'm in New York. I'm in Vegas. I just got back from 8 cities, so I don't really know where the F I am, but I know I'm at home today. Just reach out to me, David at dmeltzer.com. As always, Craig, I was blessed to be a part of Craig's wedding, and what a beautiful family you have, and I only wish you the best. And I would suggest, Craig, your first week of marriage, you should seek Dr. Yaz and Sabrina's advice. Combination of both of them will hopefully give you the marriage that I have years later. And I appreciate you so much. And thank you guys for joining. Hopefully we'll do this again. This was fun.
Bye, guys.
Beautifully said.
Thank you.
Ladies, thank you guys. Have a great rest of the weekend. We'll connect offline. Love you all. Bye, guys.
Have fun. Have a great weekend.
Bye.